What's up, everybody, man? It is going down. We are back. It's been a long time, but the dev and the gamer has arrived yet again, and I am very, very pleased to do it with my main man from the Next podcast and also another brother from the GRG podcast, my boy, the Don. So what's up with you, Don?
Not much, man. Man, it's weird being this busy. I think we both got off of a crap show, the Xbox Nation, and man, that show had a lot of energy, and so we're trying to make sure we have some energy left over for tonight. So, you know what I
mean? Yeah, man. If it wasn't that I wasn't working, there wasn't been no way that I've been able to do it. But the fact that I got some little time off, and the only thing I would be doing right now is being on the pod, well, being on the Xbox with 100 LiveWire and whoever else we've been in there, taxing them and just having a good time talking a lot of craziness and just gaming, man. So it's awesome. So it's all good.
Absolutely. What do you got for us this week, man? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, well, what we got, man, we're going to be talking about microtransactions because there's been a lot of talk about, what's going on with NBA 2K18, what's going on with Shadows of War. A lot of people are not very happy about what's going on with Halo Wars 2 with the expansion pack for people that's paid for the $80-$90 version or the Ultimate Edition, and then they have this new expansion for $20. I've seen there's been a lot of disruption about that. We're going to be talking about some Xbox tech, man. What's the innovation of Xbox and what they're doing with the network transfer, the friend in the game situation, the thing that you was telling me about where you could play a game, a certain game like Forza or whatever, and it will just primarily go to those people that are playing that game. That's going to be amazing. And then we'll just got a couple other topics that we'll talk about, and then we'll get out of here. But man, it's just great to be back. So man, anyway, let's start it off with the microtransactions, because I think that's one of those things where I think it affects everybody, because
it's a hot topic that will never go away, right?
Right.
I mean, just one of those things.
It is one of those topics that will not go away. And man, appreciate some of the people that's coming out here that's listening to us tonight pretty late. You know what I'm saying? What's up with you, John Thomas, the gamer? You know what I'm saying? Glad to have you on, and hopefully the more that we talk, the more people that'll come in and interact with us on the podcast. If not, then you'll check us out whenever we drop this video later on tonight or tomorrow. So it'll be great. Man, let's start off with Halo Wars 2. Now, I don't know how much you've played Halo Wars 2. I've beat the game. I'm pretty much almost done with the first pack that they have. I got one more and then I'll be done. And then they had this new pack of that's with talking about the Atriox side of things, and for what I've seen, man, the cutscenes look dope. It looks actually like the actual game itself, of bringing in the Halo lore, and I was just listening to LiveWire and 100, and them just talk about how great this game played, and what was going on, and how serious the Atriox and his team are going to be, and if they are going to be implemented anywhere in the Halo 6, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So, but the one thing, again, is the microtransactions, and people are really pissed off about the $20 add-on if you bought the Ultimate Edition. So what do you think about this?
Well, what was the Ultimate Edition supposed to include? Let me ask you that just so I have a little bit of a premise. Do you know?
What's going on? I was typing somebody.
What was the Ultimate Edition supposed to have?
Well, that was the crazy thing. It was having extra content, and it gave tons of content. It gave a lot of different skins, a lot of like when you was playing on the online mode, or basically kind of like a horde mode. You could play with friends. It was giving you different, like you could play as the as Johnson, or as some of the other characters from the red team, or you could even play with some of the bad guys. They was adding some other elements to it, different skins. They gave a lot of content for it. But even I was a little shocked that you had to pay $20 for the Atriox DLC. You know what I'm saying? That kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to relate to everything and try to put everything in context. It's weird because here's the thing: is like there's times that we're okay with microtransactions,
Mm-hmm.
right? As gamers, I think we're kind of getting to that point to a certain degree where, hey, this in this scenario it's okay, but in this scenario it's not, right? And I think it's important for gamers to continue to really voice what they're okay with and what they're not, right? I think the developers need to hear the good and they need to hear the bad, right?
Right.
Because they're experimenting with the business model and they're messing with what we enjoy most as gamers, games, right? And we want to continue to have games and continue to developers continue to be profitable, and we also want continuous content. The one thing is when you buy, and this is, and I'll just relate back to when I bought Forza Horizon 3. I never buy Ultimate Editions. I'm just not that guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Forza Horizon 3, I gave it a shot last year, and I bought the most expensive edition. And man, I really felt like I had that value throughout the whole entire thing, except for when the DLCs hit. The DLCs were Blizzard Mountain, right, and the
Right.
Hot Wheels track, right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel kind of the same way I think a lot of these other gamers are looking at the whole Halo Wars 2 thing, where if I buy the premium edition, right, it should be the button that I pay for where you don't annoy me with asking for more, right?
Right.
That's kind of the feeling I get as a consumer, and I think from what I'm getting from other consumers, that's what I feel like they're getting. And so I totally get it. Did I buy those DLCs? Yes. Were they some of the best DLCs? Yes. Did I get my value into that? Yes. So at the end of the day, I still felt okay with my purchase, but I did very grudgingly,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense. And I still remember those experiences, and I think that's important for publishers and for studios that think about these sort of things. Is what type of experience are those big paying customers having, right? What type of feelings are they going through when purchasing something? You want them to be excited from point A to point B with what they're purchasing and not be upset, anywhere down the process, because you want them always to have good memories with the product you're engaging with. At least that's my take home from it. I don't know what your take is, but that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm kind of, with Forza Horizon 3, they gave you plenty of great content, but again, I did kind of feel slated about getting Cocaine Mountain, which is the Blizzard Mountain, and then getting the Hot Wheels, and had to pay additional money for that. I thought that was like all included. I mean, paying $100 for DLC for a whole game is a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? That can, $100 is nothing to sneeze at. That's something that you can pay a bill on. You can add that to your car payment. You can add that to even your house note. $100 is a lot of money. So you would think that you would get more bang for your buck. And I understand that. I guess that they have a cutoff of how much DLC that they'll give you. But again, if they would give you some kind of incentive on top of the $100 that you spent, like let's just say, Cocaine Mountain and I keep saying cocaine, Blizzard Mountain and the Hot Wheels expansion was, let's say, $10 for the people that paid for the $100, then it'd be better. It was discounted, but it was still like
How much
$15
was it?
bucks. It was
Yeah, it was like
$20.
$15.
Yeah,
It was $20 for both, right?
right. It
Because
was
you didn't have
$20
the
for
option
both.
to buy one; you had to buy both of them too,
Right, right,
right? And that
right.
kind of bugged me too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I make a mistake on purchasing something, right, I want it to be my mistake and not be forced into a
Mm-hmm.
mistake. Is that? I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone who's listening, but that's kind of how I feel. Like, if there's one thing to be not to be bugged by them, but I don't want to be forced to buy something, and I think that's where customers do it grudgingly, and I don't know, that's a slippery slope. I really hope developers are paying attention to that sort of thing,
Right.
because um, a customer can only, it's the nice customers you have to watch out for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't say anything, but they buy it, and then you got somebody in I would say marketing department, but also the people do all the budgeting for games and stuff like that. If you have those two saying, oh, well, they bought it anyways, right? You know, that's one thing, but will they buy it again? Will they be happy to buy it again? And I think there's a disconnect where developers don't really know if the consumers are really happy with those purchases. And you have this vocal minority, right? The question is, do they represent exactly what the majority really feel? I mean, but there are times where I bought DLC and I was totally happy paying what they were offering, because the initial purchase, I felt like I got my value out of that product, and I wanted to have more of that experience. So it just really depends on the situation, I would say.
Right. Yeah. No, it does. But see, again, like, okay, NBA 2K18. That's another game that's been widely, like, I've seen Boogie talk about NBA 18, and I don't even think that guy's a NBA, well, sports gaming fan. But I think I've seen him talk about it. Like, it's getting to the point to where it's going overboard. Like, you can't get to a certain plateau until you pay some money to get there. And look, they have 3 different tiers. They have the regular version, they have like a semi ultimate version, and then they have like $150 version. Like, there is no game that I've known that's been $150 to pay that I can remember. Now, I've seen free-to-play games like a Path of Exiles. They have like a $400 pack, which I thought was absolutely insane. But if that's like one of those type of games that you just are going to be fully invested in, you're not going to play really anything else, okay. But gamers like us that plays different genres of games and has, you know, a lot of backlog, that's way too much money for a video game. And I think that if you're going to ask customers to pay $100 or more for a game, then the content that what you're going to give all year long has to be sufficient, and it has to be added to that. Doesn't matter. I mean, Halo Wars 2 has not been out for 2 years. I mean, has not been out for a whole year, and you're asking for more money before that, and I find that to be a missed opportunity, because a lot of people are missing out on a really good game, but those type of things turn people off.
I would say so. I mean, you know, 'cause correct me if I'm wrong, because you know, I don't play NBA 2K, but a lot of things that they're charging for used to be free and part of the base game, right? So, and that's where it becomes an issue, and I think really becomes like a disconnect, right? You know, there's an expectation there for the consumer. This is just how I approach things, right? And this is not a popular opinion amongst, you know, some devs or people that call those shots, right? This is just me being somebody who wants a microtransaction to be successful. And I think one of the key things to make a microtransaction successful is you had to add additional value over the base game, what you've already established. And I think, you know, I don't know, you tell me if that sounds good to you. Is that something you'd be willing to pay for if it was something additional than what the base game was offering?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, what the extra content is worth it. It is, definitely, but again, it's like I said, if you paid the most for that game, for the Ultimate Edition, then you have to have an incentive. You cannot just tell people that, well, for the people that just bought the regular version of the game, or for the people that has bought the Ultimate Edition at a discounted price. I was a loyal fan from the very beginning. I bought that game in its full entire price the day of when it came out, or before when I pre-ordered it. And you know, when people got the discount and got the game, you know, for a half price or whatever for the Ultimate Edition, and then they pay an extra $20, then yeah, okay, they can do that. But for gamers like us that has put our hard-earned dollars into that property, and to show support, they need to get reprimanded the right way. That's the thing of it. Is like, okay, when are you guys asking for too much? And just like with 2K, you know, I've been supporting 2K ever since Allen Iverson was on the cover of the Dreamcast. I've been a 2K fan from the very beginning. Been trying to promote so many people to leave NBA Live to come over to 2K, and now looking at where 2K is, it is a shell of itself when it comes to customer service, because you had all this great content, and you still have great content, but for where everybody wants to play with, which is the online aspect, you got to put in even more money than what you bought, and I find that to be disgusting in my opinion.
So this reminds me of Destiny, and this is the reason why I don't want to ever judge a book by its cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Destiny had a lot of controversy around the microtransactions, around shaders,
right?
And I'm like, I don't really know. Because it's on the surface, it sounded awful. Mm-hmm. It really did. Because it was a service you used to have for free, right?
Right.
And now it's no longer free. And so, I'm like, oh man, that sounds awful. Because what it used to be is you apply a shader to a character, you had it forever, and you would be able to apply it to whatever outfit your character had, right? As many times as you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is this vendor now that you can actually purchase shaders, and I'm like, ooh, that's a little strange. And then the shaders now became one-time use, and they only use on one piece of armor, so you have to use up this consumable item in the game that used to be free and used to be endless between multiple different things. So I was kind of turned off by the complete concept of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
After playing the game, I realized, man, this is not an issue, because they give you so many shaders as you play the game that you don't know what to do with them. Mm-hmm. Like, if you play the game, you get them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I have to go to this paywall or do this endless grind that Destiny has been known for in the past to get this particular item. I get them quite often, right? Matter of fact, like, I have like close to 200 shaders that I'm not going to even use, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, for me, I look at it, I'm like, whew, that's a perfect example of someone's not willing to invest that much time. They can purchase the shader if they want. It's cosmetic. It's not a functionality of the game. But they didn't keep me from earning it within game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm okay with it. Like, I was totally okay with that. And if someone wants to buy that, like, more kudos to them. Just make it so if I play the game, I'm not penalized, that I'm rewarded for my efforts and the time that I put into your game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I would say that's a good example of a shader probably done right, but the community maybe overreacted a little bit, right? I bet if you asked a lot of people that were upset about the whole shader aspect before the game came out, and then what their experience is afterwards, I would willing to guess it's probably similar to what my experience has been. I think that's a good example of microtransactions done right. It can be done right and it can be done wrong, and I don't know. I think this is something we're just going to have to continue to deal with. What's the other one that's a controversy right now? It's the Shadows of War.
Yeah, Shadows of War. The game will come out here sometime I think it's the 27th, somewhere around. It's coming out next month. I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait till that game comes out. But it's there have been people that's been complaining about the microtransactions, because it's kind of like, it's similar to what Destiny is. These things weren't there when you first played the game in the first place. And for you jumping in, playing the game, and for whatever, you know what I'm saying, for whatever that you got to do, it's going to charge you for certain things. It's going to, for, I guess, different type of looks, skins, weapons, whatever. I find that to be problematic as well. But I do agree with you, Don. There is so many games that's going to this different plateau, because one thing that as gamers we're not realizing is that games hasn't gone up for about maybe 17 years. So I mean, maybe even a little bit longer. I mean, I could go back to when the NES, the Genesis games were. There were games that were on the SNES that were like $95. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about cartridges. So that was a, you know, if you wanted to play like the old Phantasy Stars or Final Fantasy games, you had to pay a lot of money for those. So they're going to have to recoup their money some way, shape, or form, because games cost a lot more money. I get that, but I think that they should be a little bit more transparent about how they're going to do it.
Yeah, so I think the industry's weird because, like, you know, we all, you know, me and you both been gaming for a long time, right? So we lived through the cartridge era, right? Well, the problem with the cartridge era, it just in general, was the hardware. The cartridge itself was really expensive, right? So that cost has gone down dramatically, right? And this is where we'll give Sony a ton of credit, you know, for really pushing the disc-based consoles, right? You know, give them credit where credit's due. I mean,
well, Nintendo should get the credit because Nintendo was the first ones to give that, to go to Sony and wanted to do this innovation. It's just that those two had an issue.
Yeah, there was a split up.
Yeah, there was a split up between the two. Yeah, but yeah, you got to give credit to Sony as well.
Sony released the hardware first, right? Or maybe Saturn. I don't remember the exact order.
I think PlayStation came out first and then Saturn came out after. Well, no. Sega did it first. I forgot. Sega did it with the Sega CD because I had the Sega CD.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Eternal Champions in them. Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, the disc-based system revolutionized the cost of developing games, right? Getting games out to the masses, right? It evolutionized, you know, to DVD and Blu-ray and, you know, the disc-based systems that we have today, right? And digital is even a more practical form on top of that, right? Because what digital is doing now is, you know, people buy the game and they own the game. They're not taking it back to GameStop, right? So everyone's getting a new copy. The developers are getting their cut on those first stuff. So anytime a developer or a game is sold digitally, that's a win for the industry in general, right?
Right.
And I mean, it's one of the reasons why Xbox started off on the wrong foot, because they didn't know how to make the consumer okay with it, right? You know, I mean, you know, you can't force the consumer to do something, but if you incentivize, they'll do that, right? So game development from 360 to I would say what we currently have right now hasn't really gone up that much, believe it or not. In, you know, PlayStation 3 era, it really hasn't. The cost of developing games roughly around the same. Salaries went up just a little bit, but at the same token, how games are made today are the same way as they were made last gen, right? So there's not really an additional cost, and some of these engines are more developed now as well, right? So some of these changes, they're recuperating from those costs from developing their engines from last gen and implementing new hardware, what we have today. So they haven't gone up dramatically, and I think that's the reason why. It's really the cost of cartridges coming down, you know, getting into a groove how a game is made, and I don't really think it's going to continue to go up. But the problem is there's not very many titles that are successful. Does that make sense? You release, and you know, and if you don't hit that 6 month, you hit that goal within that first 6 months, you're dead. You're dead in the water. Right. So either they have to make it up in microtransactions, or have to make it a game as a service type situation where they constantly have you engaged, right? And you know, we constantly have engaged, you constantly have new players rolling in. So instead of being 6 months, that burn time for that game is, say, 3 years, like Destiny 1, right? You know, that's kind of how we're talking about all this sort of stuff. So it's not an easy route to go, but I would say gamers, it's best to realize things are not free, right? The question is, what type of things do you guys like as gamers that benefit both the developer and you guys, the end user, right, with content that you're happy with?
I will say this. I'm a fan. Like, okay, look, right now, I don't know how many people are watching us right now live. We're showing gameplay and we're showing The Witcher 3. I have no problem with, you know, plenty of content to play because they were also giving free content as well. That's beautiful. But for like games, like for sports games or for any game that comes out annually, I have a problem of you asking me to pay $150 for a game or $100 for a game, and then come out the next year and then ask me for another $100 or another $150. That's a problem.
Yeah, so that game is really, it's a seasonal game. So
Right.
after a year, you're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like it's like Madden, right? You look forward to it every year.
Right.
You probably get burnt out to roughly around, college basketball time, I would imagine, right? And then
no. Okay, for diehards, for diehards, like the one positive thing with Madden and with 2K, they have plenty of content that will last you the whole year. But the games both start dwindling down. Madden will start dwindling down after the Super Bowl, probably maybe a couple of months after that, because they have those tournaments. They have the Madden tournaments for.
Yeah, I was thinking around March Madness, not
around. Oh yeah. I thought you was talking. I thought you was. So you said college basketball. I was thinking about just like here in the next month. I'm like, no, not that early. Damn.
I'm thinking like March Madness.
Oh
right?
Around
that time. The two are not associated with one another, but I'm just saying around that time, sports guys look for other things.
And then basketball starts dwindling down, sort of, kind of right before or right after the NBA draft, because everybody is getting ready to anticipate what's going on with the off season and what's happening with with the rookies that's going to be implemented. So yeah.
So wouldn't a microtransaction of some sort of thing that adds additional value to what the base game you're already accustomed to, wouldn't that be the better time to implement that? And because that way the customer feels like they got their value out of the product, right?
Yeah, but see, that would hurt their sales though, coming down. Now it would be genius. It would be genius to add a little something right at the end, like right before the NBA draft, to kind of have people still hold on to that game. But normally, people already start getting ready to start trading in their game for the next iteration, so they can be ready for the next year. But if they added like some more DLC, maybe just for free, that would give that game a little bit more longevity and maybe help with their servers. Good God, they got dedicated servers now on NBA 2K18, and they're still garbage. They still have a lot of problems.
Yeah, and that goes into a whole other subject where I really feel it'd be nice if Sony actually would allow Azure on their network, and that way, because then what would happen is developers would choose, not all of them, right, but some would. They would choose Azure because it's free on Xbox platform, and then they would be charged using them on the PlayStation platform, right? But that cost has been subsidized by the fact they don't have to pay for the other to be on the other platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And and you can continue to build on that one server base, because it may not be perfect the first time around, but you keep building on it, it becomes something special. But so the key is, right, there's two things that 2K is being fought with, right? It's the fact that people are willing to trade in their game at a certain time, right? And they're not holding on to it, right? And then that takes away from sales from people that are just like, I'm not going to stay, because you get the second, like I call it the second wind of gamers that buy that game. They're not really are up per season. They just don't care. You know what I mean?
Right.
To buy that game. And the problem is the goal would be, ideally is for both the casual person and the hardcore person to buy it every year, right? That would take care of a problem, right? So it's got to be able to address that in some sort of way to continuously keep them engaged. Or, maybe this is something that works itself out once, for that particular game, when, digital becomes more and more popular. Maybe incentivize people buying digital would probably be even a better way, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
There's different ways to go about it. I think is just, as gamers, expressing a solution is just as important as expressing your distaste for something. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Because they want solutions, they want answers, they want something that can be, make the money or prevent people from selling the game back again, right? So, if you don't like these sort of practices, you got to offer a good solution, right? And I don't know if there really is a good solution, but I bet you if you put gamers together, a good solution would present itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
So that's kind of my take. We are going to be dealing with a lot more of it, but just always think of a solution just as much as you're identifying the problem.
Yeah, yeah, and then it goes to it's still on basically kind of like the microtransactions, but kind of bleeding over. Talking about Capcom, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It's been reported that it's not really selling very well, and I bought it. I bought the whole version. I bought the $90 version. And I know a lot of people would probably think of me being crazy, but I am a fan of Marvel vs. Capcom. But this is a thing that I think that's going beyond the pale with Capcom alone. Other than the success to Final Fantasy, with Resident Evil 7 and how many people gravitated to that, and they did a really good job with that. Their story making has been horrendous with their fighters.
I think I also had a problem with Street Fighter. Like
Street Fighter was absolutely abysmal.
It was on PlayStation PC and it had a really rough launch, but that didn't do what you would expect from a Street Fighter as well. Am I wrong?
Oh, you're not. No, nowhere there. It was the worst selling Street Fighter of all time. It was. I mean, like it. You're used to Street Fighter giving you something more than what they gave you at launch, and I'm telling you, you know, I get called a fanboy because, you know what I'm saying, I prefer the Xbox, but I would have became a true fanboy if I bought that whole, because I had it all planned out that I was going to buy my PlayStation 4 limited edition Street Fighter 5, blah, 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 right? And I was going to get that, and then once I got that game and put that game in, and then I had to experience that, I would have been done. I would have been done, Jack. I just thank God that I built my PC, and I got it there, and I experienced how bad this game was. Now, graphically, it's one of the most beautiful fighters that you can see, but everything else, it didn't have any content, and you asked for more money? Are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? And then when you finally got the story mode, which was like, I think 3-4 months later, it was the worst Street Fighter story mode ever.
So in this, and then with Marvel's versus Capcom, I mean, does that have content at least?
Yeah, no, it has proper content. So, I've heard like there's plenty of people that's been telling me that they don't like the content. The one thing that I will give a positive, I'll give some positive say so about is the fact that it's that when you play online, they have a separation of, like, you could either spectate or you can fight while you're waiting to fight in a lobby with other players. I think that was absolutely fantastic. Like my favorite game, Tekken. It should have implemented something like that. But again, the one biggest problem, and you know what, this is something that we need to address as well. We'll get into maybe that later after you make your point, is that the servers are still hit and miss. It is bad. And I've known that there are some PlayStation gamers that said that they haven't had any problems with it. I don't know if that's true or not, but if there is any indication that there are some PlayStation fans that are getting the benefits of proper gameplay with these Japanese titles other than Xbox, I am having a fucking problem with that. That is an absolute travesty, because I'm paying hard-earned money to get better quality.
Well,
for sure.
In any customer, even like if you're and I'll even throw a PC in there, right? So if you're a PC owner and you're getting a subpar experience, not because that subpar experience is not that better experience is not available, the effort just simply wasn't put into that platform. I have a problem with that as well, or even Xbox or PS4. Now, I don't think I'm always going to give someone the benefit of the doubt. I don't really think that's really what's going on there.
I hope not.
To be honest with you, it's kind of like when like Nell's talking about her dashboard crashing on her Xbox all the time, right? And Bot's talking about the same thing, and I don't have it happen once, right?
Me neither. Yeah.
Maybe once in maybe in 4 months, right? I'm not gonna get upset about that, right? So those sort of things can be very situational. I know netcode for fighters is hard to do right. At least it seems like it. I don't know if that makes any sense because I know a lot of fighters don't get the netcode correct. Am I right or wrong on that one?
For the Japanese fighting games, yeah, the netcode has been.
It's a mess.
Tekken was a mess in the very beginning. It was an absolute mess. I know on the PC the netcode was absolutely great, was flawless, but I've heard there was a couple of rumblings on the PlayStation 4 that the netcode was pretty bad. But they ironed it out on Tekken, and you know what I'm saying. And then when we got the preview enhanced version, well, not enhanced, but the preview version of Dragon Ball Z Fighters, I didn't get a chance to play it because the netcode was so bad. I only got into the lobby to get in there to watch a fight for about 3 minutes until it kicked me out. And that's another thing that bothers me, and maybe Xbox's understanding is why they don't bring certain Japanese titles to the Xbox, because these guys seem to be far behind when it comes to their development, especially with online games, where online games are prevalent on the Xbox. I don't know. What do you think about that, Don?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The U.S., Central Europe, Canada, those places, they leapfrogged everybody. I mean, it just it is what it is, right?
Right.
And I think there was a lot of stagnant the best way to look at Japanese development in general, right? And I hate to do these judgment calls because I'm a developer and it's very easy for them to point their finger at me when I finally get something out in the wild, right? So I don't really like to totally point my finger and say I'm better than one person or another, but just as a whole, right? If you just take those areas in general, regardless if you like Japanese titles or not, just from the quality of the graphics, how graphics are implemented, to the technology of engines. Like there's engines that have been talked about forever over in the Japan side of things that just really never came about. Like look at the Fox engine, for example, right? From Konami. It's a good looking engine. It can do some beautiful work, right? But how long did it take them to catch up to what other people were doing? Right. It took them a really long time. So that sort of thing, it's like, yeah, I do feel they're behind. On netcode, I'm not as familiar with that sort of stuff, but nor do I play as many fighters, so I just have to take your word for it. That's why I'm asking questions along those lines. But I've noticed that not a lot of fighters get netcode right. Does that make sense? Like the timing latency is a huge deal with fighters, right? And if you don't get that latency right online, I think the games fall apart, to be honest with you. It's one of the reasons why KI runs at like 120 frames per second and then they downsample to 60. Yeah. And that's because if they drop a bit of that netcode, it really doesn't screw it up. You know what I mean? Because you don't notice it, right? If that makes any sense. So
no, it makes perfect sense.
I don't know if Capcom is just having a hard time. I think this generation just getting their foot in the door of the gamers, right? And appealing to, I would say, a Western audience. I would say Capcom's probably the most talented over in Japan.
Do you think so? I think Namco Bandai is the most talented.
They are, but they're talented, but they also outsourced a lot into Central Europe, UK, US, Canada, that sort of thing, right? So, if you look at Project Cars 2, for example, right? That's Bandai Namco, if I'm correct on the publisher. Yeah, right. That's a publisher. So, I think they're either US or Central Europe, right? That developer, right? So, so they're not afraid to branch out in the United States, versus like Capcom. They try to keep it keep it home. If you know what I mean. I also think they're not the guys that really kind of started. What is it? I can't think of the game. The guys that got in trouble not in trouble, but they're known for canceling Scalebound. Canceled. They were working on that.
Platinum Games.
Platinum. Yeah. So the guy that started Platinum, and also the guy that started.
They're talented. They're talented.
Mega Man and all that sort of stuff, which worked on Recore. So those are some of their core talents that left Capcom, and I don't think Capcom has ever been the same, or didn't know how to recover from those guys, losing those guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I wish him the best. I hope the game's good. You said the story's kind of campy, kind of Japanese campy.
Man, look, man, this is the problem. Like, it had the story from Marvel vs. Capcom had some great potential. Like, I was like, oh, whoa, when it got to the point to where they showed Ryu and the Hulk and what was it? The Monster Hunter girl and Black Panther, and then they had Ultron's people came in, and then there was some big crazy dragon creature that came out to Earth. I was like, okay, and visually it looked great, it looked stunning. I was like, okay, I'm feeling it. I'm thinking that this game is really going to go to the right direction when it comes with the story. Then it kind of dwindled off because I don't know who the voice actor was for Tony Stark. You could tell that they was trying to make him sound just like Robert Downey Jr., but he just didn't land it. And then it just got to where it was funny, like when everybody talks, they gotta push their fist up in the air, or do some kind of crazy weird gesture to show that they really, to show emphasis of whatever that they're talking about. And I'm like, this is so over the top. What is this about? Like, come on. And it just
until grounded, basically.
Yeah, there was no, it was, and it just got stupid. Another thing with Marvel vs. Capcom, what a lot of people was complaining about is the character. Is all the characters, like, I mean, not all the characters, but certain characters. Like, there was some characters that just didn't belong. Like Nemesis, Nemesis was in 3, but he just really didn't belong. And I understand that they don't have the license with the X-Men, but I felt like Black Panther or the Winter Soldier or even the Monster Hunter girl could have replaced them, and they could have maybe added maybe 1 or 2 different characters to take the place of some of the characters that they had in there to make a strong 32 roster.
Do you think the game suffers from the state of where Marvel's kind of at and their properties kind of split?
No, it just suffers from the development of the game, of where these people were where these people didn't listen to the fan base, and they just only went their own direction. What they're not understanding is that this game is going to sell better in the Western area than it's going to sell better in Japan. And what they thought is that they could just do whatever they want to. Like there was one of the things that the guy said that really almost made me back out on my pre-order was, well, who cares about Wolverine anymore? Wolverine has been brought in more and more and more. Who cares about him? Who cares about really a lot of the X-Men characters? And I'm like, who the hell is this guy to even come to that thought process? But then when I seen the gameplay, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a chance, because they showed the Jetta, the Darkstalker guy. He plays fantastic. Now, when you actually are playing the game with a friend, or you playing it online, the game plays so well. It plays just like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's just that you would just rather have better characters, but it hurts.
So you're saying the latency has been cleaned up since the demo?
Yeah, the latency's been cleaned, but the story mode was bad. It was bad. I just, you know what I'm saying? I gave the story probably a 3 out of 5. You know what I'm saying? Only because of the fact that the story wasn't as bad as Street Fighter 5. Capcom is really, really having a problem with making good, proper fighting game stories.
On something like that, I wish Marvel would stand their ground a little bit more on their intellectual properties. Because they want more quality games in regards to their franchises, right? These Disney, in that Marvel partnership, I don't know exactly how that all works, right? But it said that's the goal they have, right? It sounds like the game's solid, except for things like the netcode and things like that. Hopefully they can be patched and fixed and stuff like that.
Right.
But the story, the perception of your characters, that's a big deal. That hurts their franchises, right? And it's not to say that Japanese can't make good stories. They make some of the craziest over top stories that pull from imagination that I can't even relate to, right?
Right.
But the thing about comic book characters, they're grounded in they're characters with flaws grounded that we can relate to, right? Like that's kind of even Marvel, even DC characters. That's why we like comic books here, right? And it's got to have that to a certain degree. And if you have a story base like that, I think it would definitely be a lot more enjoyable if they just kind of handle that. But that's kind of tricky waters because then you have the Capcom characters,
right? Well,
they're perceived, and and they have a Japanese origin, so it's really kind of easy for me to say.
If I didn't play Marvel, if I didn't play Injustice 2 story mode, and just played Marvel before, played Marvel vs. Capcom, I probably or Tekken 7's story mode. If I didn't play either one of those two, because you got a Western developer with Injustice 2, and then you have Tekken, that's with Namco Bandai, actually did a fantastic job. Tekken has always had their points of where they were really campy, kind of weird acting, and I've been and how much of a Tekken fan that I am. This was the probably deepest story next to 3 that I could that I was like, oh my god, this story is getting serious and this story is getting real. But Injustice 2 is fantastic.
Right?
Fantastic. Yeah, Injustice 2 blows away everything when it comes to comic book characters from a video game story.
That leads to my point, though, right? So if you look at Injustice 2, shout out to Warner Brothers and Boone and all those guys, right?
Yes, big shout out to them.
And I actually need to buy that game because that's one of those ones on my list. But you look at the Mortal Kombat characters, right? They, that's US based, right? And I know Injustice 2 doesn't have any Mortal Kombat characters except for a couple cameos, right?
No.
And you look at the DC characters, right? You can tell that story was originated in the roots of what makes the DC universe work, right? Which is comic book writers and art. You can tell it's grounded in that, right?
Right.
It's an influence in that. And if you took that same game, and it's not a knock on Japan, it's just it's oil and vinegar, right? And you say, here's a template of the gameplay, but make us a story, right? I don't think it would turn out right. And it's not anything against those guys, right? It just wouldn't turn out right. You take the opposite example. You take something like Tekken, right? Where that's a Japanese game through and through, right? It just is, right? But it works for what those characters are, how those characters have been developed. Just the ridiculous. Like next thing I know, I'm fighting in a volcano of a volcano of a volcano, right? Like it doesn't make any sense, right? But it's Japanese, and you kind of expect that with those sort of characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of like you do from Japanese anime stuff. Like they know how to take it over the top, but it's done in an artistic way that's exciting and it's fun, and you're willing to accept it for what it is, right? So I think some of those things are just oil and vinegar. They just don't mix. Like American characters and Japanese characters, like art style, it works in the fighting aspect.
Yeah, I
don't think it works in the story.
Well, the one thing with Tekken 7, like what I'm saying, I'm not going to try to spoil the story for anybody that's interested into wanting to get into the story. The side stories are campy, but the main story wasn't campy whatsoever, which was surprising. And it seemed like Harada, the mighty Harada, big salute. I'm saying he knew that he needed to make this story as compelling as possible, especially for the ending and the outcome of what was coming, because you are familiar with these characters if you are a Tekken fan and how that climax came about. Like I had to put the controller down for a minute. Like, are you serious? Is this it? Is this it? Like what? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I know for like, you know what I'm saying? And I know that any gamer out there that's been out there that's had an emotional tie to whatever game that they played, if they played Mass Effect or any other game before that, Persona, whatever the fucking game you played, if you've had an emotional tie to certain characters or a character, and that character is done, then you're like, what? Is this really it? And I loved how they did it. It wasn't campy. It was more serious tone. and even though, you know what I'm saying, the Japanese with Japanese developers, how they always come with that campy shit, but I can say for like Attack on Titan, I don't know if you've ever watched anything with Attack on Titan or anything. That is the most.
I know it's really popular, but
it is gritty, it's grimy, and it's like there is no. It's kind of like the Japanese version of The Walking Dead to me. Like there is no fun here in this universe, and that's kind of like how I felt, like how they were trying to approach Tekken with like, this is an apocalypse that's coming. There is nothing but devastation here, and why Street Fighter. Well, I should say not Street Fighter, but Capcom couldn't take their games and make it more compelling or have some kind of, at least some kind of Western influence, especially with Marvel vs. Capcom. And when you've seen how good Injustice 2 is, that story is incredible. Like, you should see that and be like, we're scared. If they delayed Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because of what Injustice 2 did, I wouldn't have been mad at them, because that's the top notch. That's one of the best stories for any superhero game, next to you know, the Batmans, that I've ever played. Like, I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying so Disney should be more evolved, and Marvel should be more involved in the process.
Japanese developers need to be more evolved with what they do. Then they need to be more evolved. You can tell that they're behind, because their storytelling is very far behind. It's bad. It's very bad.
Well, the collaboration seems to be rights to the characters, right?
Yeah.
That's it, right? And more and more we talk about, the more and more I think that the collaboration should go deeper than that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Don't step out of your boundaries, right? If you're Marvel or Disney, don't be telling them how to play mechanics and things like that, right? You know, don't overstep that bound. Let those talented people do what they need to do, right?
Right.
But you got to protect your properties and how they're represented, right? And you should be involved, and you're like, hey, I got that, but our characters have a little more of a serious tone, right? And you can just kind of say, this thing's veto. They would do something like this in this situation, that sort of thing. And it doesn't really take over the story or anything like that, but it sets the proper tone for who the characters are and stuff like that, and go from there. I think that's the best way to kind of go about it. You know, I'm all about solving the problem, not just, you know,
right? Yeah,
about it, of course.
No doubt.
I don't know. As a fan of the franchise, does that sound like a good solution?
Yeah, that makes a perfect solution.
You would be happier with,
yeah,
if there were a little more hands involved with the process.
Yeah, take it more seriously. You could tell it was kind of pasted on, like, well, we got this going on, and you know what, and for some people they may not have the issue with it, but you know what, and sometimes, and I hate to be that type of gamer that nitpicks, but like, I'm looking at, you know, the character models in Marvel vs. Capcom and on Street Fighter V. Like, these people look abnormally swole. Like, they look crazy big. Like, Spider-Man looked like he was on some kind of steroid. Like, his neck is all big. Their hands, the female's hands is big enough to grab your whole face and throw you somewhere. Like, I mean, it looked abnormal. Like, it looked like it was more of, well, this is fantasy, so let our characters look like it's fantasy. And I don't think that gamers really play their games to want to be caught up into a world of fantasy. That's the one thing that's like The Witcher, Mortal Kombat. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it's, Halo, or, you know, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us. What these games do, they draw us in to make it feel like this world could be somewhat believable, even though we know that it's not. But giving a sense of realism gives a testament to what the developers are trying to do for their games.
You would say the art style is a little over the top.
It's way over the top. Capcom has to do better. I don't mind the engine. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, when they show their characters, they look beautiful, but they're abnormally beautiful. Like, I'm like, come on, like whose hands are that fucking big? Now I got some big ass hands. You know what I'm saying? I'm like I said, I'm a 6'4", 320-pound man. But I'm just saying, come on now, let's get the fuck out of here. Like let's get real. Like there's not really too many people that's my size. So the thing of it is that like, what are you trying to implement? You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting it. So it's just like these people look, they're not looking believable comparing to what Injustice gave you. Injustice gave you a more realism feel, and I think the Japanese developers need to give us more of a better story than just giving us a game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, to me, it just sounds like, and this is just something that's always been around. The gap between cultures are so dramatic between the two. And it, it's just like, if you've ever been to Japan, and this is not a knock on the place or anything like that, if you ever want to have the feeling like you just visited a different planet, you go to Japan. You just do. Everything there is just culturally different. Art styles are completely different. All that stuff. Just normal human interaction is just simply different. It's not bad or good or anything like that. It's just they really are. They have a culture that's really kind of separated from the world, and it's just evolved into its own thing that really feels like you're going to some place you never thought existed, right?
Right.
So it's just is what it is. I mean, I don't want all games to look the same. I don't want all games to look like what Marvel, what the DC game is, in regards to that with Warner Brothers, but. I hear where you're coming from on it. It just needs to be toned down a bit. It sounds like, and it sounds like you need Disney to be a little bit more hands-on with the IP that you enjoy and love, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I hate to jump on developers because I know it's just like for what I do in my job. And when people get they're unappreciative. You know what I'm saying? When you out here and you build bridges and roads and streets and buildings and then they look at you because because maybe the material that you have wasn't of their liking or things like that, they bitch and they complain. It's the same thing with developers. I get it, but you know what I'm saying. But then it also comes to a point to where you see that there's people that are too comfortable in their position and nobody gives them flack for it. And there's where you need to light a fire up in their ass to let them know, look, you're behind, guys. I understand that maybe PlayStation is is the number one selling console out there, but you have to understand your game is still not selling. It's not selling on, and even if you might promote the PlayStation, it's not selling well. It's not selling well whatsoever, and you might be blaming because of whatever reason. But the real main factor is that your game is not up to par to the standards of what really good grade A games look to other people. That's just my point.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, just looking at the Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's buff. Look how buff he is.
It's not true to the character, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. Like it's completely untrue to the character.
Yeah.
Because there's not that Spider-Man's can't be ripped, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he just doesn't have that wingspan.
Yeah, like god dang, like I mean, the engine is cool, but like everybody looks abnormal, and that was the one thing about Street Fighter V with their season 2, with the Sweet 2 shit. I was like, okay. Akuma looked fantastic. I thought Akuma looked suitable. He's older. He looks more like a lion, more of a beast. You give us this weird looking guy with a hat, but he played very well. Then you give us Abigail, like the most abnormal, freaky looking guy that you can bring in. And I understand he's from Final Fight, but and then there were people like, he plays really well. He's cheap. You can just get somebody in a corner and just beat him up and just do the same moves over and over again. He's corny looking. He's nothing exciting or anything. And what's really sad is that Street Fighter EX looks a hell of a lot better than what Street Fighter 5 is, and that's what's terrible, because Street Fighter 5 is the king of those 2D games, or used to be. You know what I'm saying? NetherRealm has taken 2D games to the next level, and I give them big props. But
yeah,
you know,
and I was just looking at the history of the franchise, and you looking just Spider-Man in general, right? And you can tell with the newest one, it's not true to the character.
Your
right?
damn frog is dancing. I cannot believe it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, don't stare him in the eye. I don't like that. But you know, it shows that they're not true to the character. I mean, they have been in the past, but the newest variant is just not. It's just not true to what that character is, right? So yeah, in whatever, different art styles are different art styles, but I do kind of see where you're coming from. What was the next thing on the docket, though?
It was the last thing that we're going to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, this is the beautiful thing. I know that, you know, Devin the Gamer hasn't been out. We haven't done our thing in a while, but we'll definitely be coming in and trying to do it more often, man. It's just that it's the time to try to catch one another. But the last topic that we're going to talk about is Xbox and their new tech that they're bringing into the Xbox, and how amazing that it is. Like I feel that some of this stuff is going to bleed over to come to the PlayStation later down the line, maybe, but I have no idea. But this is innovation that we've been talking about for being a preferred Xbox fan for a long time. And the one thing is network transfer. I got it on my previews program yesterday, and I used it, and then I read up on it. And network transfer is if people have multiple Xboxes in their home, what they can do is that they can split up the games that they have in their library and send it to, let's just say, if you have, you know, multiple kids, or just for instance, if you just only have, let's just like 2 Xboxes, right? And then, like, you know, your lady comes home, or your husband, whoever, or if you have kids and your kids want to play Minecraft or any other type of particular game, and you don't want to play that game, you want to play something different. Well, they can take those type of games, because if you send it through the network transfer, it'll be in the cloud, and they'll just have those certain games that they want and that they constantly play on their system, and they don't have to worry about trying to do anything else through your account. It's just going to be there every time. And I'm just tripping out, Don. Like, damn, like, this is exactly what's good for households, especially, for instance, because your wife does Mary Kay, right?
No, she does. No, Mary Kay, but she does some book club stuff, and man, I'm out. I can't hang with that, right? So, you know, usually that takes up the living room, where it's usually my main gaming space, right? And the worst thing is, like, going into the bedroom to play a game, and, you know, you realize, ah, crap, I don't have it on this console, and I really wanted to play this game, right? So what do? You go to download it, right? Or you create more space on that particular console because I don't have an external on that one, right? I just have to wait for it, right? And so what's interesting is if you go from network to network, obviously it's much quicker to install. I would have a feeling you would have to have both Xboxes on in order to kind of make it all function and work. You know, you have to have power to the system, right? And then you're just able to have access to your library, even though it's on a different thing. You can just have it installed, and it's quick and easy. It also prevents people that have data caps on their online service. It's just a kind of a pro move. I mean, I have my in-law. They have like 4 Xboxes in their home, and their kids are constantly bouncing between the different Xboxes from one room to the other, right? So it helps. It'll be huge for them. So
yeah, no, it's a. I'm like, there cannot be anybody that can downgrade that. I mean, like, anybody that has a Nintendo or a PlayStation, like, even PC, that's not even acquired for your PC. If you are a PC gamer and you have multiple PCs in your home, like, That is amazing. Okay, and then also you have another thing that you was telling me about. Like you can sort friends by the game you play. Like that's stupid. Explain that to us, Don.
Yes, I don't know all of it. I've just heard it through the grapevine. It has been confirmed that it is a feature that they're going to be doing. But normally, as you look at your friends list today, right, and usually what it will show is your friends when you pop up the little sidebar menu on your Xbox. What it will do is it will populate based on alphabetical order, right, of people that are currently online and on Xbox Live. So. And then obviously before that, after that, there's a line, and then you have the people that are currently offline. From what I understand, you can actually just now sort it by game. Now I don't know if it goes by the game that you are currently playing, or it just does the games alphabetically. Those sort of details is what I don't know. But basically you'll break it in chunks, right? And we all have certain people that are like right now that are just there's a chunk of your friends list that's playing Destiny. There's a chunk of my friend list that's playing essentially Halo, and Forza's kind of dropped off until the new Forza's come out. But that's just a good example. I always know there's a good chunk of those people, and if I had it sorted by game, I can look and say who's playing Halo. Maybe I'll pass on Halo today. Oh, okay. There's a couple people on Destiny, and oh, hey, they don't have anybody in the group. I can jump into their fire team and play. And so that to me is huge. I mean, it's just it's a little more proactive to your gaming experience. Normally on on a console, you play certain games with certain people, and might as well segregate them that way if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, like that's insane. Like I mean, just imagine how many people that you can avoid. Like especially like when I play Madden with 100 and tax. And you know what I'm saying, and just others, just to come in and just look and see the list of people that will be gone instead of just going in and picking. Well, I gotta go through lists and lists and lists of people just to find the person that is actually the person that I'm trying to play against. And if they cut that out, I could just go straight to them. Boom, it's done. It's perfect.
That list they're currently playing. You don't have to talk them into a game, right? You just say, oh, who's not in the game with somebody? I'll throw them an invite, right? And then you throw out the party invite later, right? You get them into the game, and you kind of it's all about getting into the game quicker. And, back to the early thing about transferring data from within network, right? As much as that's exciting for us as a pro-consumer move, it's also a move to incentivize people to go digital, right? Digital is key for the industry to do better. And more features we have to encourage us to go digital, and less barriers to utilize that digital feature. It goes a long way. So
yeah, it definitely goes a long way. And that's another thing too. Digital has constantly been going up year by year by year. And also there was a stat that I was talking about on GRG a couple of weeks ago that was talking about how even through the PlayStation, people are being more comfortable of buying games more digital. So it's here, and it's here to stay, and it's the future. I know that there's a lot of purists out there that likes games, or like to go to your local GameStop or whatever and get games hard copied, and there's nothing wrong with that. But understand that if they implement what we've all been anticipating, is that digital games are going to be it's going to be cheaper, and then if they implement also that you can start trading in those games for currency, those digital games for any type of currency, it's a wrap. There's going to be so many people that buys games.
Yeah, I don't know from licensing perspective, trade them in for currency. That one, I don't even know the legal hoops they would have to jump through.
Maybe they can do that through their local GameStop, Best Buy, Target, Walmart. They could do it that way.
That might be a hard one.
You think so?
I really do. I mean, I get the principle of everything, but I think the better principle, and I think where everyone really wins, because I've as much as I'm not pro buying used games, I've sold games to GameStop. That's just as much as part of the problem as anybody else, right? And I've regretted it. I wish I didn't sell those games, right? I wish I still had them in my library, right? And so I think a lot of times selling games is not, it's not something that really helps the in consumer in a lot of ways. I think it's important more and more people buy digital and don't trade in their games, right? What that does is one of two things: they're able to recuperate their costs quicker, which allows the game to drop in price quicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say you're not a day one buyer, you're not that guy, right? You buy it 3 months down the road. Well, that game's now 30, $40, right? Instead of 60. And that's why I've always been buy a game when it's the right price where you feel it has value, right? And I would always ask the consumer, just buy it digital if you are going to do that. Like, if it's only worth $10 to you, it's only worth $10, but that $10 goes to the people that made that game happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that continues to feed into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So digital's so key to making that happen.
Mm-hmm.
With, I hate to say taking the option away, but because that's what it does, right? It is one of those things that you no longer have that option to trade in, but you have to give the consumer incentive to want to go digital, right? And that's being able to trade stuff on your network. It's being able to do a game share. It's silly as it sounds, I don't have to get up and see if I have the disc, right?
Right.
In that room or the other room, right? All that junk in regards to that. I'm in a game quicker. Those sort of things. So it's why CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays have all taken off, right? Because you're incentivizing the customer for a better experience.
Right.
Why did DVDs take off? Outside of the fact digital video is a million times better than VHS. Well, you didn't have to rewind. You had a better image quality, right? All these sort of things takes less space on the shelf. Like, those are all incentivizing type things, and so I think that's how the industry has to look at things. They have to incentivize the customer, incentivize, and more people will do it. I think I've heard rumors like up to 60% on the Xbox side, behind the scenes. That's where they think they are as far as digital versus physical.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah, and that was last year. I would imagine it's this year. Yeah, it's about a 10 to 15% deficit between the PlayStation and Xbox as far as digital sales go, from what I understand. And and I'm rooting for PlayStation not to have any more hacks or anything like that, because honestly, that makes that platform more trusted for consumers to buy on with that platform. Also, you never want to see that happen to a customer, a gamer, right? And let's just be honest, like, it doesn't help PlayStation out, or it doesn't help the industry out as a whole when that happens. So, I'm hoping security is getting better. We even heard Microsoft helped out Sony with a little bit of that security going forward, right?
Yeah.
So, and they recognize it too, because if people continuously have bad experiences on the PlayStation side and people don't trust going digital, that affects their sales.
Right.
So that's why they help out. So digital's the way to go. There's gonna be more incentive. I do miss little statues and stuff like that, but then again, I'm a grown adult. I don't need that stuff anymore.
You can still get those things like through Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got digital copies of Battlefield 1, and I got my African American gentleman right there, standing right there in front of me in my game room, just like I got my Tekken, Kazooie, and Hayachi. Yeah, he's got a cape. Yes, I love it. And I took off one of his arms and put on him holding a 9 Glock and a shotgun instead of that little funny looking.
They have different weapons at home.
Yeah, you can take off the arms and put little things. But anyway, it's you know what I'm saying, and I'm going to keep on in adding more, you know what I'm saying, in statues, incentives, because I like it. I think it's actually really cool. I just hope that, you know what I'm saying, digital is the way to go. And it's really funny to me because there's so many PC oriented YouTubers. It's crazy. This is what really bugs me, because like when I'm just gonna call out names, fuck it. When you have like Review Tech, you have who was the other guy that was really hardcore on this? Golly, it was Review Tech, and there was another guy well, two other guys that was talking about it.
Angry Joe,
Angry Joe, and then there was a
Boogie and those guys.
and Boogie, and there was another one. There was another one. I can't think of his name right now. But they were so hard. They were so hell bent in saying that this is a bad thing and that they have more control of your assets of your games. And then I'm like, aren't you a PC gamer? Don't you buy most of your games off of? Don't you buy most of your games digital? So you're telling console gamers that it's a bad thing to buy digital, but yet when you buy, you know what I'm saying, probably 98% of your games, if not 99% of your games off of PC, they're all digital. Like, you know what I'm saying? That made no damn sense to me. I thought it was ridiculous. Another thing was that I do hope that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo stay true to having hard copies, because there are people out there that just don't want to buy digital.
Don't force people to do it.
Force it on customers.
That's where Microsoft went wrong, obviously, at launch, right?
Right.
We can openly admit that,
right,
as Xbox fans, is that they've made the customer feel like they were forced.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they felt like that, then they were out. They lost their trust. They lost that goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
With that consumer. So yeah, forcing is never a good idea. But back to digital on PC, like Steam saved PC gaming. Like there's no doubt about that.
Right.
And how they saved PC gaming was digital. They offered it digital, Steam, those both save PC gaming. But also as part of that business model is the fact that the prices would drop on the games. They weren't just a fixed price, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over time, the price would drop and the market would dictate what the consumer is willing to pay for a particular title, right? And so that also saved PC gaming and helped create new studios, and help keep certain studios afloat on that platform. That's the reason why you continue to see people, even though people talk trash about the PC, it's why you continue to see developers make games on the PC,
mm-hmm, regardless.
So, if it helps Steam, it can help us, and that's the way I kind of look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, I want consumers to get new games. I don't want them to have to feel like they have to sell their old games. And I'm willing, and if they're willing to wait to when it makes sense, the market makes sense for them, get it on a good deal. I mean, how many times do you buy a game, Kmega, because it's on sale?
Yeah,
right. You don't have time to play them, but you buy them because it's on sale, right?
Right.
It's the same sort of thing. It's not because you're willing to pay the $60 earlier or anything like that, or sometimes it's not free, right? You said it several times. It's like, when it drops to that price, I got to cop it, right?
Right.
And it's because it's the right price that you find value, and I encourage that. I encourage that for consumers. Is if it's the right price where it has the value to you, that's when you should pick it up. Until then, just hold off.
Right, and that's another thing about Japanese games that I don't understand either, because there's a PlayStation 4 game that I really want to get. There's two of them, actually. I want to get Persona 5, and you know what I'm saying, and be in my closet by myself and play with the penis demon. But the thing of it is, no, I'm just saying.
But anyways, you are as much crap as you get for you are.
I know, for me
playing through the game.
Fun with, for me having fun about Persona 5. But but I want to play the game because I have Persona 3. I beat Persona 3, and I haven't beat Persona 4 yet, but I still have Persona 4, and it will make me beat Persona 4 when I get Persona 5. But the thing of it is with me is that it's not worth $60 to me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's no hate towards the game. It's just that I'm not going to pay $60 for a game that's going to be put in my backlog and I'll jump on it later. You know what I'm saying? So and I know on the PlayStation Store right now it's like $41, but to me, I want it to be around $30. If it's $30 or $35, I'm copping it, and it's going to be put in, and I'm buying, and I'm supporting that brand or that genre of game.
And I'll be honest with you, the developer is as much as like they really feel their game's probably worth more or all that sort of stuff. They still rather have you buy the game at $30.
Exactly.
You keep it than buy something used, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm always kind of pushing for that. Is like, we can both win. you
Yeah.
know, both the developers and the gamers can both win at this, right?
Right.
And the key is to buy new and not to have that stuff sold back out. But then again, you know, everyone's got a limited budget. I don't want to offend anybody on that front, right? And certain games just have certain value. You know, like for example, like if there was a new Gears tomorrow, I would pay $100 for the best edition, right?
Right.
Like I would do that, right?
Yeah, and you
Other people,
shotgun me, and that would make me upset.
and, other people will play a game and like the game's not worth $30 for them, right? You
Right.
know,
Right.
but it's still worth something, right? It's still a game that has value to that consumer, right? So that's where I hope things go, and I feel like we are going there. We just got to ride out the storm.
Right. My last point on this is that, okay, like for instance, Attack on Titan. They had a sale on Attack on Titan a months ago on the Xbox, and I think on the PlayStation as well. But I'm like, this game is over a year old now, people. It should not be $60. I understand that you feel strong about your product and you think that game might be worth $60, but it's not. Especially, it loses value over time. Nobody's going to buy that game for $60 a year and a couple of months later. They're just not. So you have to go down on the price, and you have to have respect for your customer in order for that game to be bought. And then I'll get that game.
Do you know what price that game is on Steam?
The last time that I checked, it was around $49.
Okay, so that's the lesson for, I think, for most developers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in the ballpark of what Steam's doing.
Right.
You have to be in the stone's throw away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your barometer of what people are willing to pay,
right,
for a game. You know, and I understand the ecosystems are different between PC and console. I get it, but you have to at least be a stone's throw away to really make that sense. So. Yeah, and I would say, it's not like you're starving for games there, Kmega. Like you have plenty of games.
I do.
Play through, right? So for you, it's not like you're gonna be bored waiting for that game to go on. So I know it's not for every consumer.
No,
true too. No one's gonna go bored. You guys have plenty of games to play these days,
right?
On all these platforms. So
that's true. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get to the last point and then wrap up. Games that, okay, for the Xbox One X, you know what I'm saying? Okay, let me make this one point too as well while we go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. I just wanted to let you guys know, if you are not with the alpha previews program with Xbox, these are some of the things that you have to look forward to. Okay, they got the Xbox Store hardware. And that's how it says. It really should be the Xbox Hardware Store, but where you can buy accessories and you can buy Xbox consoles from the Xbox One for the Minecraft X1S or the Xbox One X. You can get that through the Xbox without even having to go to check through Amazon or anywhere else. And what's also another benefit is that you can get this tax-free. Instead of me, like, I'll get the Xbox One X on Amazon, is going to be $545. It's only going to be $499 through that. That's huge. You also have, you know what I'm saying, you have...
is it also tied to your payment through your Xbox Live account, so you don't have to re-enter into a different
yes
site? It's all tied there.
It's all tied in through your Xbox account. So basically, if you've been buying games digital or whatever, it's going to come out of there. And then what's really crazy as well is, like, if you pre-order a game or whatever, they'll hit you up beforehand and tell you, we're about to hit up your account. Will you have these funds available at this time? I got one for Forza, and because I always keep my money locked down in my savings account before I release it, and I get whatever I'm going to get. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't, I don't know. That's just how I am. So I was like, oh, I forgot. I pre-ordered Forza, and so I was like, okay, yeah, boom, I got it, and so I'll be enjoying Forza tomorrow. But also, you have the Welcome to Xbox Assist, which helps you through this new Xbox UI, which I love it. I love the Xbox UI. It's very fast. It's quick. It gets you to where you want to go. But if you are confused about it, it also has an assist. Cortana's better. The OneDrive. You can also do the OneDrive is better. You also can do you know what I'm saying, you can do things with your languages. 1080p game DVR capture is available. Capture to external hard drive is also available. Tournaments, you know what I'm saying, for if you want to create an Xbox your tournament through the Xbox
so
One.
capture and also an external hard drive. You have to have the hard drive, from my understanding, formatted just for capture. You can't be capturing.
Oh, really? Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, you know, this is all rumor mill, of course, right? But keep that in mind. So if you want to run longer game clips that are with, you know, better quality, because that's also part of the update as well. You want to keep that in mind, that, you know, maybe you only want to get like a 500 gig, you know, just for that, or, you know, you get where I'm kind of coming from. You know,
yeah,
smaller, you know, so.
Well, glad for clarifying that. USB webcams for Mixer, that's a cool addition. You know what I'm saying? And also introducing stereo to mono. I have no idea why people would want to go back to mono, but if that's what they want to do, that's fine. Also, it was something I was telling to Don earlier, was Dolby Atmos, or however you pronounce it. That's available through, if you like to play your gaming through your headsets, and I guarantee you it is an experience. I was playing Hellblade on my Windows, because I got it through Windows 10. I haven't got through Xbox, but I probably will get on the Xbox, because I primarily play on Xbox more than I do anything else. And I was playing Hellblade, and I was playing Dead Light, and I was like, damn, it made me put the controller down. I mean, put the headsets down, because it got so intense when I was over here playing against a boss on Hellblade. I'm like, damn, it was great. So you can get, and there's just so many other things that's available that Xbox is going to be bringing out to their fan base, especially when the Xbox One comes out. And I've seen that they've made a couple of enhancements to Upload Studio, but it's not the overhaul that we've been waiting for. I know that's going to come, because you can tell by how they set things up, it's better. So I know that they're going to definitely do something with the Upload Studio, and that's another plus. So, you know, look out for that, Xbox fans. And then lastly, Don, what is the game that you are anticipating to play once the Xbox, you know what I'm saying, the new game that you're anticipating to play on the Xbox One X once it comes out on November 7th?
New game, man, it's really going to be between Forza, and I'm waiting actually to buy Forza until after I get my X. And it's really between that and what was the new Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
Origins.
Yes.
You know, really, they seem like they put, you know, out of all the developers out there, like, no one's perfect on whatever port they've done to X, right, or patch, I should say. They seem to put a lot of effort into a lot of things with that additional power. And so that excites me. It excites me, you know, because, you know, I work within that field of, you know, higher texture resolution. I work in 8K and, you know, textures, and even though we don't see games like that today, right? That's what they're doing as well, right? And it stands sample to what works for their game. They're increasing the draw distance. They're balancing all these things out, right? They're not just going after 4K, right? They're going after a lot more than just 4K, and they're also looking to make the game better. So I'm just really excited for what they do, especially in like an open world. Open world, I think, showcases the hardware differently, and I would say, you know, Forza showcases the hardware differently from like just a frame rate perspective. You know, hard surface models versus, you know, things that are more organic looking, those sort of things. You know, so those two are my two showpieces that I can't wait to pop to this. Well, in this case, download the game and start playing it.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And also, what about your backwards compatible? Because there's so many that the haters do. They'll talk about nobody wants to play older games, but what are some of the older games that you might want to jump in and play on the Xbox One X?
Well, you know, you hear a lot about from Gears, and I've played Gears at the higher setting on my PC just because it's a Play Anywhere title. And, you know, I think it looks great, but I think it's I want to try to just see where the X and where that kind of lies between the two, if that makes any sense. And I'm also looking forward to, like, on the older game, I'm looking forward to what they're doing with Halo.
Yeah.
Just because there's certain things, as cool as Halo 5 was for me, there's certain technical aspects that really stood out to me, and I almost hesitate to tell people this, so because if you go through and play the game, then you cannot not see the things I see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the shadow draw distance on Halo 5 was one of the things one of the tricks they did to help up the frame rate and optimize the game. And there's a certain, like, distance you see where they're basically taking lower resolution shadow map and they're swapping in a higher quality as you get closer. So you see that draw distance if you know what you're looking for. So it always catches my eye. The draw distance on Halo 5 it's not bad, but it's not great. So I'm looking forward to see if they improve not only the shadow draw distance, but the overall draw distance, so that clarity you get from the game. Almost kind of like if you compare it to Destiny 1 versus Destiny 2. Like, Destiny 2 looks crystal clear compared to Destiny 1 because of the clarity of that draw distance, right? It just makes it look sharper regardless of where you're looking at in the world. So I'm looking forward to primarily those two things, and just kind of the different additional things they can do with lighting in that scenario, and lighting kind of casting itself on objects a lot more. I've seen that on a PC Forge mode. It's just there with certain things. So those are I would just go and keep it to those two for now. There's definitely plenty more I'm going to be plugging in, trying out, taking a look. So
yeah, no, it's one of the things where there's a lot of games that I'm excited about, and you know what I'm saying. Thank you, Eric Barrera. You know what I'm saying, because I sit there and told you my height and my weight. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Thank you for calling me a fat fuck. I appreciate that. The one thing about it is that I still handle my business. You know what I'm saying. I work a job that determines if I'm really truly a fat fuck or not. So thank you. You know what I'm saying? I love people that just say stupid shit just for no reason. I thought it's funny.
Correct term for that is lunch muscle.
Yeah, lunch muscle. Yes, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. I'm all about the lunch muscle. But anyway, regardless, the games that I'm anticipating. Oh, and also before I say that, you're right, Freddie Fox. You know what I'm saying, the introduction to the light theme is really cool. I have changed mine from the dark theme to the light theme. It looks really cool. I kind of wish that they would add a little well, the only thing that I ask for after what they did with the changes is give me back that that mode where you can do the picture in picture, because I use that a lot. You know what I'm saying? I loved having that little picture-in-picture mode. I hope that they'll definitely bring that back because it was really cool. There was also the intelligent delivery that was one of the things that is state-of-the-art for gaming right now. And we've been talking about that on numerous podcasts. So if you don't know about
the games. It's all about the games, man.
Yeah. It's all about
Xbox got games. So what games are they?
Yeah, what games that I'm going to be playing on it?
What's the new ones, right?
The games, I'm not going to play them into. Well, I'm lying. I am going to play Forza and I'm going to play Shadows of War, but I'm going to hold off and wait until the Xbox One X to play Wolfenstein and Call of.
I keep forgetting about that game.
Yeah, and Call of Duty. Wolfenstein is probably going to be next Shadow of War, probably my game of the year. To me, because I think Wolfenstein is going to be amazing.
More and more I see that, the more and more I want to play it, and you can't ask for a better enemy that you want to shoot than what you're provided in that game. So like, yeah, that game, it's high on my list too. I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I'm not mad at you, Eric. I know it's a joke. I'm not mad. I'm just clowning. I'm like, look, man, it takes a lot to get me pissed off and get me worked up, man. It really, for real. It just cracked me up. Yeah, it is. It's a lunch muscle. So next time you just say, hey, Kmega, you are a lunch muscle. I will take that. Anyway. So, and then my backwards compatible game. Well, I wouldn't say so much my backwards compatible games, the older games. would be the Witcher 3. I cannot wait to finally finish that game.
They're doing a lot of enhancements from what I hear too.
Oh, I can't wait, man. I have put in over a month's time in that game, and I only got 20% of that game done. I always veer off and do side missions. Like, that game is probably the only game next to Red Dead Redemption and GTA 5 that has so much content. Like, you can't. I love that game. It is my favorite game of this generation, next to Halo 5.
Of the Xbox One X will be out and enhance that game again before you'll finish it.
Well, you're probably right, but still.
That's how big that game is. You know what I mean?
I know that game is amazing, though, and I mean that's a testament to what CG Project Red has put into that game and the content. When you have side missions that's more deeper than actual stories to other games that you've played, you know that is a winner. And I definitely can't wait to jump on and finish that game with the Xbox One X enhancements. There's other Bound by Flame. I can't wait for those older 360 games to get those enhanced. They're going to automatically have those enhancements because they're going to look bad. I know that you beat Bayonetta, Don, but I've been waiting until and it looks so cool because I haven't got a chance to beat Bayonetta yet. But I'm waiting until I can play it on the Xbox One X, and so I can get it looking crisp. And you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Because isn't it supposed to also clean up the anything back compat?
Yes.
It's also supposed to clean up from the 16x anti-aliasing, and it's also part of the better texture filtering is just integrated into it. So the dev doesn't have to do anything. You just boot up the game. You're good to go.
Yeah, and I can't wait. I cannot wait because that was the one thing that had me more compelled, had me more amazed about PC gaming, was that when I put in those older games like Brutal Legend and other older games, I was just like, wow, these games look amazing. And the Xbox One X is a lot more powerful than my PC. So I'm like, I can't wait. And then, you know, I can't wait to go back and play Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I know that that's such a casual game, but it's just something about that game that I played with my friends for so long that when I look at it, I'm going to be amazed. And it's going to be fun. And, of course, playing Madden and NBA 2K and Tekken 7, it's a wrap. Huh?
Not the new Call of Duty?
No, you know what? I didn't like that new Call of Duty. But, I mean, you know what I'm saying? If I you know, you know me, Don. I'll say that I ain't going to get it, but I'll probably get it.
You're fickle, that's for sure.
I'm very fickle. You know what I'm saying? I'll say I'm not going to get it, but I'm not getting it. I've held my guns with Destiny 2. And I'm not going to buy that game. If somebody is so reluctant to be nice and have it for a Christmas gift or something for Kmega or for the Don. Well, Don already have it, but you know what I'm saying? I will play the hell out of the game, but I paid for.
I don't know if that game's for you, man. I think you would play through the story and you'd be done.
Maybe. Maybe
I'm totally wrong, like on judging you on that one, but like, you know, I think that's the value you'll get out of it. But you know, Xbox surprised me. He's continuing to play it even after.
I see so many people playing it and hooked, and I got no problem with anybody playing it. I don't hate anybody. I'm not mad at anybody that enjoys that game. It's just that I'm not going to spend money to buy it after what I did with Destiny 1, and I only played. I mean, I played it to get to level 19, and then I've never played it after that. You know what I'm saying? And I bought the whole pack.
You know, a lot of times people oversell it, and I think that does a disservice to the game because then people buy it and are disappointed, right? But they don't do. I don't think they would say ever do anything awful. I mean, they would say there's certain things I prefer them not to do about the game, and I really think that's one of those games that's realistically they do everything okay to good on it, right? And they kind of mash it together with a different experience that you're not getting from other shooters. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's kind of the best way to kind of describe Destiny. Destiny 2. It's not the best story. No, it's not the best shooting mechanics out there. No,
Yeah.
none of it's bad.
No,
like
no,
none of
no,
it's bad
no.
this time around, and that's where the first one kind of failed, where they had a couple core good things and then some other things that just really weren't good at all.
Yeah.
And on this one, I don't think they have anything that's really, I would say, bad outside of the aim assist. I'm kind of not a fan of that. So.
No, okay. Yeah. Well, we're about to get ready to get out of here, but to let people know right now, if you're watching it through YouTube right now, you're seeing my gameplay as I'm playing Overwatch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I play all different type of genres of games, man, and I got a couple of little skills on every little game that I play. You know what I'm saying? I just play games and I enjoy them. I'm a huge gamer, and you know what I'm saying? And mostly everybody that I associate with are true gamers. So for when you hear people that calls us frauds, I beg to differ and prove that any of us are frauds, man. That was the whole reason why I wanted to show on GRG everybody, every one of us, to show that we game and show our gameplay, just like what they do on the next podcast shows every week, us always playing games. And you know what I'm saying, the Don was showing what he was doing with his gameplay as well, and hopefully that, you know what I'm saying, even though GRG is old school, we'll just do it, you know, through there, but here we're going to show our gameplay and show you guys what we be doing and how we do it. So man, I had a great time, man. Great to be back. It's always fun. So you know what I'm saying, Don, go ahead and give your shout outs. Hey, and you know what, if anybody is interested to ask us any questions or whatever, hit up me at Kmega on Twitter at Kmega what is it, Kmega 4 at Kmega 4 on Twitter, or hit the Don. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Don, what is your little thing on Twitter?
The Don _KTR stands for Kiss That Ring.
Yeah, Kiss That Ring. And you can hit us up, and man, go ahead and do your shout outs, Don, man, before we get out of here, man.
Oh man, I think you and I are both, well, you have GRG on Friday. Right. But I'm just gonna chill and take it easy, be well rested before next podcast, which is Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget what time it is. I just wait for the DM to join.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but what is it, 6 o'clock Eastern time? I think.
I don't know. Bot changes up. You know what I'm saying? The time where you hear that damn alarm at his house, wherever you hear that, that's when you know it's going down.
Giant siren. That
yeah,
goes
that
off
siren.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And me and Kmega, I mean, we're both busy. I mean, Kmega is on like 5 podcasts a week. I don't know how many he's really on, but you know, so when Kmega is not too tired, you know, I'm just gonna continue to hit him up. People seem to like the Devin the Gamer. I've got a lot of people asking for it again, so I think Kmega has also been getting that. So we'll try to get our act together and do this a little more often for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And if we, you know what I'm saying, and if we have an occasional special guest or whatever, it's only going to be an intimate thing to where we have maybe us and just maybe one more guest. But this is about getting the input from somebody that's into the gaming world, and again somebody that's from the input from the gaming world. And I think that it's a perfect match because you know, we're gamers, and that's what's
less of that talking over one another and more of
exactly,
right? I mean, that's the idea. So
yeah, so yeah, man. So anyway, you can catch me on the GRG podcast right after Crossfire. If you people are familiar with Crossfire with Moochie Crap on Friday nights. I think it's what is my time? It's 8 o'clock Central. I think it's 9 o'clock Eastern. I think it's maybe 5 o'clock Pacific, maybe, whatever. I have no idea what it is. Europe, you know what I'm saying, out there in Europe and over the seas. But you know what I'm saying, come and check us out. Also BGST, the next podcast on Saturdays, and you know what I'm saying, in the multiplayer where we be having just a lot of fun. A lot of people think that like me and Porter Rock and you know what I'm saying, when Alex and whoever comes out there that's diehard PlayStation guys, that we hate each other. It's not even the sorts, man. We're all gamers. We laugh, chop it up after the show, and talk about when we can hook it up and maybe play some games together, man.
You guys' friendship are starting to stand out now. Like, you know, people are starting to, like, you can see it. Like, you can't just, like, you can't hide that. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of respect. I'm proud of Porter Rock and how his channel has grown, and for everybody else out there, man, I don't have no animosity towards anybody. I mean, I'm in here to talk about gaming and to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? To have hate for if somebody's channel gets bigger than mine or is under mine, it's not about that. It's all about let's have a discussion and let's have fun doing it. That's what it's all about. That's what's always ever been. So man, it's just positive all the way around for me. And man, you know what I'm saying? Tonight was a great night. Thank you guys for rocking out with us tonight in the chat. You guys are awesome. So everybody have a good, blessed night. We will see you when we come back. Hopefully sometime next week, right, Don?
Yeah, we have to work on it, but
yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, if not next week, we'll definitely come back. We will come back. We always do. So we'll definitely come back. But thank you guys so much. And y'all have a blessed night. Peace.
Yeah, we definitely have to be back before the Duke controller comes out.
The Duke controller, you stupid.
Yeah, that Duke's coming back. You know,
the Duke controller is coming back, and if the Duke controller can come back, then so can Dev and the Gamer. All right, y'all guys, peace.